"Play that again," I said, grabbing his phone. My wife laughed in the video, raising a glass. "He has no idea who I really am." My chest tightened. Wait, who was that guy she's holding? And then someone said my name. My name is Danielle Harper. I'm 34 years old. I work as a mid-level HR manager. Stable job, simple life. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I believed in 3 things above everything else: loyalty, honesty, and building something real with someone who meant it. I met Leela 2 years before we got married. She was charming and confident, everything I thought I wasn't. She had this way of walking into a room and making everyone feel like they were already behind. I was drawn to that energy. I ignored the small things because I thought love meant choosing to trust fully, even when your gut whispered otherwise. 5 months into our marriage, I genuinely believed we were building a future together. I handled most of the expenses while she figured things out career-wise. I didn't complain. I told myself that's what partners do. I believed we were a team. That video cracked everything open. If you've ever trusted someone completely only to feel that trust quietly shatter, subscribe right now. Have you ever pushed a red flag aside because you believed in love? Drop your story below and click hype because this one gets real before it gets better. It started with a coworker. He pulled out his phone during lunch, scrolling through a mutual friend's archived stories, the kind of content that disappears but never really goes away. "Hey, isn't that Leela?" he asked, tilting the screen toward me. The smell of the break room, burnt coffee and stale air suddenly felt suffocating. I watched the video twice without blinking. Leela was at her bachelorette party, the one I was told was low-key, just a few girlfriends, nothing worth mentioning. In the video, she was laughing the kind of laugh that comes from somewhere careless. She was sitting on another man's lap, leaning into him like she was comfortable there. Then came the words that stopped my breathing. "Marriage is just security," she said, raising her glass. "Fun doesn't stop." The people around her laughed. Someone off camera asked, "What about Danielle?" Leela smiled without hesitation. "She's safe, that's different." I put the phone down on the table. I didn't say a word for almost a minute. That night, I confronted her directly. She barely blinked. "It was just a joke, don't be dramatic." But I caught something in her eyes when I asked for the full video, a flicker of panic she tried to cover fast. My coworker texted me later that night, "There's more, way more you didn't see." Betrayal doesn't always arrive loud. Sometimes it builds in layers, each one quieter and more deliberate than the last. The first thing I discovered was that I had been intentionally kept away from that party, not just uninvited, actively excluded. Mutual friends had been told not to mention it to me at all. Then I found comments under old posts, screenshots friends had quietly saved over the years. Her friends called me the backup plan. One comment read, "Classic Leela, always keeping a safe one around." I felt the cold of that phrase settle into my chest. When I brought up what I was finding, Leela didn't apologize, she attacked. "You're insecure, you're going to ruin this marriage with your paranoia." She had a way of flipping every conversation until I was the one explaining myself. Late nights started adding up. Her phone stayed face down, constantly. "Why are you checking my phone? Don't you trust me?" The irony of that question coming from her almost made me laugh. I stopped reacting. I started watching. And the more I watched, the clearer the pattern became. This wasn't a mistake or a rough patch. This was a design. My hurt was real, but underneath it, something harder was forming. What Leela didn't know was that I had already started collecting. I wasn't spiraling. I was methodical. We shared devices, cloud backups, an old joint email account she had forgotten about. Every inconsistency I noticed, I documented. Every story that didn't line up, I saved. I wasn't acting on emotion anymore. I was building something she couldn't argue with. Because deep down, I already knew the truth was bigger than one video at a bachelorette party. I just needed to be certain before I moved. I reached out to Maya, Leela's cousin. Leela always called her the troublemaker, which now made complete sense. Maya had distanced herself from Leela years ago, and the moment I contacted her, she didn't seem surprised to hear from me. "You're not crazy," she said. "She's done this before. Different person, same pattern." Maya helped me connect things I had seen but not understood. Old stories, a past relationship that ended the same way, screenshots she had held on to because she knew one day they would matter. Together, we built a clear picture. Meanwhile, Leela was growing more confident, which told me she thought she was still winning. She started casually mentioning finances, suggesting we should move accounts into her name for simplicity. "You should trust your wife with everything," she said one evening, smiling. I smiled back. I said nothing, because by that point, I was ready. I asked Leela to sit down for a serious conversation. She came in relaxed, almost bored, like she was humoring me. "What now?" she sighed, dropping onto the couch. The living room was quiet. No television, no background noise, just the low hum of the air conditioning and the sound of my own steady breathing. I hit play on the full video, not the clip, the full recording. I watched her face shift as she recognized what she was seeing. Then I moved through everything else. Messages, screenshots, voice notes Maya had shared. Her expression went through confusion, then anger, then something I had never seen from her before. The look of someone who has just realized they've lost control of the room. "You went through my stuff?" she said, her voice rising. "No," I said. "I uncovered the truth." Maya stepped in from the hallway. Leela looked at her like she'd been ambushed, and she had, just not unfairly. I laid out everything calmly. The lies, the manipulation, the financial intentions I had seen coming. Then I told her the final piece. I had already spoken to a lawyer. The room went completely silent. For the first time in our relationship, Leela had nothing to say. I walked away from that marriage with something I didn't expect. Clarity. Not happiness, not relief, not yet. Just a clean, quiet sense of knowing exactly where I stood. I protected my finances. I protected my peace. I didn't respond when she reached out later, and she did reach out. The version of me she had counted on, patient, quiet, safe, was gone. I wasn't her backup plan anymore. I wasn't her security. I was the person who chose himself when it mattered most, and that changed everything going forward. Have you ever been treated like the backup plan in someone's life? Like you were nothing more than a safety net while they looked for something better? You are not alone. Share your story in the comments below. Subscribe and join a community that actually sees your worth. And click hype to help this story reach someone who needs it right now. Did this hit home? Like the video and tell me what you're thinking in the comments. Click hype to help this story find the people who felt exactly this way. Your support carries this further than you know.